This tutorial will be a review on how to fabricate this chair we created in our last tutorial together in class. And if you remember, we started with a polygon primitive cube. We'd also set our menu for interactive creation, which means I can go in and I can drag a footprint and rough in the shape I generally would like to have. Now, once I've created that, I'm going to go over to my channels window. In my channels window, I'm going to scroll down to inputs. I'll make sure that I click on the word polycube if I don't see these attributes, and they'll appear there for me. Now, what we did was we next went in and selected through subdivision width, height, and depth. And we changed that to 4. And you'll see that we've added more polygon faces to that initial polygon cube. Now I'm going to hit 3 on the keyboard. And if you recall, 1 will give us our actual geometry. 3 will give us the poly smooth, which would be the results once we ran the mesh smooth at the conclusion of our project. I'm going to leave it in 3. Now, if your CPU on your computer is not up to snuff as far as editing in Maya, it's a little easier on it if you work in 1 and then just hit 3 after you've made your edits to preview what you've done. I'm going to leave mine in 3 though. Now I'm going to duplicate that, and this will serve at the back of the chair. Get my rotation tool, and I can see that I need to rotate on my z-axis 90 degrees. And I'll move it. And maybe I'll scale it. At this point, it's really subjective, the shape of the chair. What we're going to do now, we're going to make it more organic. I'm going to put a bend in the back. Now, in order to do that, I want to be on my Move tool. I'm going to double click on that, and I'm going to open up Soft Selection. Now, we use the keyboard function for this because Maya sometimes just puts this function on automatically by itself, and it's not what you want. So if I were to B on the keyboard, the check goes away. If I hit B on it, it returns again. I want this to be symmetrical, so I'm going to right-click, choose Vertex. I'll hit 4 on my keyboard so that I'm assured of selecting through to the back of the geometry as well. Now, because Soft Select's on, you're going to see some variation on these colors. The higher the fall off radius, the more this geometry will be affected at these distances. So if I wanted to, I could make this 6. And if I was to drag on my x-axis, now you can see that it's kind of softening that. Now, I think I want it to be a little higher. That's always contingent upon the shape of your chair. I'm going to go with 8, just kind of picking that random number. And I'll click and drag. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty nice now. So once I have what I want, I'll go back to my object mode, hit 5 to kind of preview it. And I'm going to turn off that soft select. Now I can either click here or hit B. I have the geometry I want. And once everything's fabricated, like this chair, I would select them and delete by type history.